Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to go over some of the components I've been working on. This is the battery pack. I initially started with a small frame just to kind of get an idea of what size I need for the battery. Once I got the initial frame, I built this lid. It's made out of 1/8 basswood sheet for the upper part, and then 1/16 basswood for the lower X, just to kind of give it a little bit of more of a rigid structure. So here's the box over the lid. So then I made this little frame for it, just to kind of make the outer perimeter. That's also a 1/8 basswood. So what I did is I made two of those. As you can see, I drilled the corners just to make this a little bit easier. Then I could just take the knife and cut straight in between the holes and pop that center piece out. So I have two 1/8 frames. The lid piece is 3/16. I plan on getting a little rubber sheet and cutting out a seal for the lid. That'll also be 1/16 in thickness. That way it's water sealed and I can wear this outside when it's raining and it won't be a problem. So here is the inner frame. This is the part where the lid actually sits on. It's about 1/4 of an inch perimeter. And here's just a test fit of the lid. And the lid is a little messed up, but I'll probably go ahead and make another one before I make the final product. So here's all the pieces together and the battery pack inside the compartment. I will drill a hole at the top of the compartment so I can route it towards the circuits. At the same time I was building the battery pack, I also was working on the upper circuit compartment. I ended up not using this just because it looks too big on the top of my head. I think I'll have to make a circuit compartment on the sides. So initially, whenever I built this compartment, I started with the inner frame to kind of give it some rigidity. So initially I started with the inner frame just to kind of get an idea of what I'm working for. So here is the inside part of the panel with the exterior. They were both cut out of 1/16 balsa or 1/16 basswood. So it's quite flimsy, so I went ahead and duplicated both pieces. So as you can tell, it's a little bit sturdier. So here's all the pieces. They're all 1/16. So just put a little bit of super glue on the lower frame. And just to test fit the screw holes, I bought these 3mm screws from Amazon. And I couldn't decide on whether to have 6 holes or 8 holes. I went ahead and put 8 holes onto it just to make sure it's really sealed once I have it on the top of my head. So here's just a test fit of the screws in the holes. Went ahead and drilled the holes a little bit wider. So this is where I ran into the problem with the two 1/16 inch basswood stacked together. When I tried to drill out the holes, it completely blew it out. So I bought this 1/8 inch thick basswood, and since I had the lower frame, I went ahead and just clamped it down to the 1/8 basswood and just drilled 3mm holes into it. And before I cut it out or anything, I went ahead and drilled it to the next size up with the 6mm drill bit. I did this just to make sure it wouldn't split apart as I'm drilling it. So here's just a test fit of the head of the screws, and it fits pretty nicely. So once I had the kind of screws in place, I went ahead and cut the upper panel piece out from the 1/8 thick basswood. So just to kind of get an idea, I would open up the panel and I have full access to my circuits. And I didn't want any sharp edges, so I put it all together and smoothed it out with sandpaper. So as you can see, there is the spray painted panel. So now I just have to make the perimeter for the compartment. And then I measured a 1/2 inch in from the upper perimeter where the lid would sit on. And here is the compartment. Of course, in the final product, it would have sat a little more in their proper places. I was just testing it out. So I went ahead and started on the ears as well. I got these 3-inch, I think, craft wood from Walmart. Came 6 in a pack, so I stacked them 3 on each side. Marked it by hand and used my drill and a little sanding wheel to bevel the edge a little bit. Then I added these tabs to just kind of offset the angle on my head. I made these similar to the same angle as my wireless headsets because I may put them in here one day. So it looks pretty goofy here, but as the rest of the helmet components get added on, it should look a little bit more fuller. Here are my control panels. I was thinking that I would have on the sides of my head. So that is where I would have the LED control and possibly a fan control switch. This is the lower section for the battery compartment. That is where it would house my power on switch. And here's just a little LED that will go on the bottom of the power on button. So something kind of like that. Here's just kind of an idea of what the battery compartment would look like on the helmet. So I can just open up the panel and get access to the battery if I ever need to replace it completely. And the lower LED there. And dropping the panel. So I went with a different design now. I I installed these side panels for the battery compartment, but I didn't really like how that looked, so I actually took it all off and I lowered the battery compartment by about an inch or so. And I think I'll come up with a different side panel, one where I can put the circuits in there. So that will be on an upcoming video. It's what I'm working on now. So I always wanted to have something that was kind of pointy shaped for the helmet. So I kind of made these test pieces for the jaw and just kind of like a general idea of where I wanted the LEDs. As you can see here, I swapped out the 4 LEDs for just the 3 with the one big one in the middle. And I actually really like this design a lot better. I couldn't get the 2 big LEDs to look correctly for eyes. I may have to just change it to 4 smaller LEDs if I still want that design, but I really like this one big LED in the middle. So I also swapped out the 4th LED wires coming from the Arduino Nano to the momentary switch. So the momentary switch that controls the LEDs also adjusts brightness as I'm controlling it. So here's kind of a preview of the layout in the dark. So I really like this design. I think it's coming a long way. I do have a different design right now, but I may kind of go back to this one. Still just trying to figure it out. So hopefully in an upcoming video I'll have a little bit more on the circuit compartments for the back of the helmet, maybe some fan ventilation system kind of put in place, and more of a clearer picture of the direction for the helmet. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.